And right now we get another special, really important rule. So in the last section, earlier in this section, I should say, we were doing things like if we were taking the derivative of f of x times g of x. But what about if we have f divided by g? So what about if we have something like x squared divided by the ln of x? How would we take the derivative of this? And we have a formula for this too. This is called the quotient rule. And again, it's written out really long here, but what this really boils down to is the derivative of f times g minus f times the derivative of g. So again, you get that switching, and this is going to be something you have to memorize. And this is all divided by g squared. All right, not the derivative of g, just g squared. So if we're going to look at the example that I offered up here. Let's identify my f and my g. All right, so this is going to be f here, and this is going to be g. So on top, I want f prime g minus f g prime. And notice how the order of this matters now. The derivative of the top needs to come first. So I will have the derivative of f, which will be 2x times g, which is just the ln of x. And then I'm going to be subtracting f, which is just x squared, times the derivative of g. So notice the derivative of g is 1 over x. And this is all going to be divided by g squared, not the derivative of g, so it's just going to be divided by the ln of x, all of that squared. Now there's a little bit of simplifying we can do on the top. We'll have 2x ln of x, and then x squared times 1 over x. That's the same thing as x squared divided by x, and so we'll be left with just x there. Remember, x squared divided by x, you can do 2 minus 1, and you'll just be left with x to the first. On the bottom, there's nothing we can do down there. We'll have the ln of x squared. And so that would be my example. So let's do a few more advanced, slight more advanced examples. So this first one, again, the key with all of these is just identifying your f and your g and following the formula. So here we have f, and here we have g, and our formula is, this is going to be equal to f prime g minus f g prime. And so we'll have f prime on top. It's going to be 10x, and then g is x squared plus 1, and this will be minus f, which is just 5x squared, and g prime is just 2x. Now this will all be divided by g squared, which is x squared plus 1 squared. If I were to have this on an exam, the top would probably be simplified some. I would probably multiply some of this stuff out and combine it. So I would probably end up with 10x cubed plus 10x minus, and 5x squared times 2x is 10x cubed. And this is all going to be divided by x squared plus 1. Now, notice that I have a 10x cubed and a minus 10x cubed, so my final answer, these two things will go away, and I'll just be left with 10x divided by x squared plus 1. Okay, this is the last one here, so let's take a look at this. So my top is going to be f, my bottom is going to be g. My formula tells me that I want f prime g minus f g prime. Okay, so f prime is just going to be what? It's just going to be 1, right? The derivative of this top is 1. And then that's going to be multiplied by just the bottom, so e to the 7x. And now I'm going to be subtracting f, which is just x plus 10. And then I'll have g prime. So g prime, this is an e to the kx, so the derivative is k e to the kx. So it's 7 e to the 7x. And now on the bottom, this is going to be divided by e to the 7x squared. So I can actually do some algebra here. I can actually do some simplifications. I'll have, this will be e to the 7x minus, rather than that, let's actually do this. So notice that each term on top has an e to the 7x. And I can in fact pull it out, right? So I can do e to the 7x, and then I'll have 1 minus x plus 10 times 7. Now you should verify that e to the 7x times this is going to give you the same thing above. And it does. And this is all going to be divided by e to the 7x squared. And if I want to simplify this a little bit more, notice that I have an e to the 7x, I have an e to the 7x squared down here. So this is just like taking x divided by x squared. And I'll be left, in this case I would be left with just a single x on the bottom, and the same thing here, right? So here I'll be left with 1 minus, I'm going to distribute that 7 out, so 7x minus, you have to distribute the minus to each of these, 70, all divided by e to the 7x, right? Because I'm canceling out this e to the 7x squared and the e7x right like I was there. And I could simplify that just a little bit further by having negative 69, which is 1 minus 70 minus 7x divided by e to the 7x. So that was a long one, right? But a lot of this was algebra. The quotient rule is simply just identifying an f and a g and following the formula from here.